Y'all like to call people hoes, but you be tricking in your marriage, because if you want something, you gonna go have sex for it with your husband, and he's gonna give you what you want.
Yeah. Once there is transactions and things being made, right? So transactions not necessarily meaning money, but we mean in time, energy, finances, you know, all the things that go into dating and getting to know people. Like, people expect something in return, and that where I think it comes down to the entitlement of, you know, if I'm spending time with you, I'm doing all these things, like, I'm not trying to be funny, but a lot of people will give sex as a transactional type of thing, even in marriage. And that's the thing. So let's talk about the transactional sex thing, and we talk about it as, you know, there's different forms of sexual connection, but transactional sex or entitlement of doing tit for that, you know, it happens. It happens every day, right? So love languages is definitely another platform that teaches, do this, get this. It's a love term at this point. But if I love language,
I'm gonna do it.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to do it.
Give it.
You're not wrong. Let me start there. You're not wrong. But if I'm coming from the typical or majority male perspective, it's not so much, yes, I have to do this, that, and the third to get with you, but it's more like I have to do this, that, and the third so you can be attractive enough to have sex with me.
Ooh.
If we like that, because if I'm not calling you or texting you, if I'm not taking you out, if I'm not being useful in some sort, you're gonna give it to the guy that is. The conversation is not going to be enough. So he's doing all these, it's his mating ritual. And it works. Because if y'all wasn't giving it up when we did it, we wouldn't be doing it. We don't want to spend money on y'all. Like, can I keep it 100 though? We don't want.
Yes, so shout out to my amazing cast members, my podcast panelists for this the round 4 of the Raw Adults Expectation podcast. Like, they really killed it. If you haven't seen or you haven't been able to watch the Raw Adults Expectation podcast, definitely tune in. We're doing this podcast to bring in the real, raw, true, honest conversations about love and sex and relationships and the culture. And as your certified sexologist, I feel like it's important to have that raw and realness that comes from, you know, really being with my people and really getting with people who really, you know, deal with me heavy. And so we have so many comments in the podcast, and I'm not able to really hit on all of them. So we decided to pick up by doing Nuggets with Nita. This is a 45-minute or a 35-minute segue of talking about the podcast afterwards with your girl Nita Love. So welcome to the podcast. Big shout out to my panelists. That will be Lawrence Sufran. He is a masculine male educator, a man of the cloth, and loves his wife. So check out him. We'll add his information, his Facebook information down below. We got Talina, your host, which is my boo, my baby. She's she's the mixologist, entrepreneur, boss in her own lane, doing her own thing as a bartender, owning a mixologist company. So if you're interested in some of her content, or if that's something that you want to do, definitely reach out. Then we have Stephanie from Humanity Studios, one of my boos, my baby. She is a entrepreneur in her own right, in a paint industry, getting into paint and how to keep in the paint industry and being an artist and being a person that's about art and fun activities. So she's the owner of Humanity Studios, which is one of the hottest studios here in Huntsville. So if you haven't had a paint night, definitely want to check my girl Stephanie out. Then we left off with my girl Chelsea, who is the owner of Hair Therapy, which I'm wearing one of her brand name shirts today. Me plus my locks equals magic. Shout out to Hair Therapy. She keeps my hair like I love my locks. I started my journey actually with extensions in my hair. This is 2 years of growth with extensions, being hair clean and taken care of. Now, you know, I ain't gonna give it too much credit right now because my hair don't look good, so I gotta get back in there this week. But I love you, Chelsea, and see you soon, girl. So we did this whole thing and we talked about a topic that I definitely got to hit on. So today we're going to talk about transactional connection, right? And the thing is, the question comes down to, have we normalized sex versus currency? Let's talk about it. In the modern day world, like, this type of action, and Lawrence really hit on it in the podcast when he said it's a dating ritual for today. Like, whoa, like, I have to, like, definitely give Lawrence a boom, boom, pop, pop to my boy. Because think about it. Is sex and money part of currency, part of modern day dating? Yeah. And can you do this in a way that's healthy? Like, we do it, but we're not being clear and concise of what we're doing, right? So that's where these conversations come up at the podcast. This for that transactional connection, and not to be honest, just in dating, but even in marriage. Even in marriage and relationships, we continue on the transactional, the currency for, the do this for. So how do we do this? Are there entitlements? Is it useful? Is it harmful? We're going to really dive into the transactional space today. And so you give me your feedback. If you're in the comments, like, let me know, like, is money and sex a part of our everyday routine at this point? Like, you tell me, because honestly, if you don't say yes, I'm wondering what you living at right now. Because even in my 3-year relationship, I get my partner does for me. If he cooks for me or he cleans for me, if he pay my bills, I feel more sexy, and I may want to, do a little thing for him later. So I don't know what y'all think, but drop down below if you agree with that. Hashtag yes to modern day sexual connection. I don't know. Hashtag something. Hashtag transactional sex. I don't know. So okay, so let's talk about this, right? So transactional sex refers to, let's give it the definition, right? So that definition is a sexual relationship that is designed of goods, services, time, money, and other benefits, right? So people are like, oh, I really don't do that. Well, did you fall in any of those categories? Then probably you do. Okay, so it's not always like, some people say, well, is it sex work? Are you trying to say I'm a sugar mama? Am I a sugar baby in my now relationship? And Chelsea kind of hit on that Jasmine Sullivan wrote this in her, like, before one of her songs, that say, y'all call us hoes, but you tricking in your marriage. Like, did you hear that? Like, shout out, girl. Y'all be dropping them nuggets on that podcast. So I have to ask that question, like, are we embedding these into our dating norms? And why is it okay in more of a relationship way more than a casual hookup way? And that's the things we're going to talk about. The harmful sides of it. Is it useful? Is it working, right? So let's say this. So you're dating and he says he's going to take you on a vacation, right? And this always comes up, right? This is a number one topic, right? In your dating process, right? In the dating world is, if you get flued out, is sex a part of that transaction? I don't know, y'all. Y'all know hashtag below. Flew me out equals sex. I don't care. If you feel like, no, just because you flew me out does not mean that, then that's how you feel. And you're very much entitled. It's your body. And I'm very pro-choice for everybody, right? His and hers, right? So if I give him sex, so why isn't he calling me back? It's like this is something, is that other one, right? The girls feel that I've did something, I've gave her something, I've given my body and my time. We together, right? We go together real bad, because that's a transactional term. We go together. Like, we did that. Why you ain't answering the phone? Where you at? I'm giving this for time. I'm giving this for attention. I'm giving this for a greater good or a benefit. And we don't see it that way, but it's definitely given. Okay. So in the context, right, as a coach, right, when I talk about this space right here. I think we're drawn to this as what Lawrence would say, a mating ritual, and also in marriages where it kind of talks about it in the 5 love languages, right? So from the dating spectrum, you have the mating side, right? So I'm spending time with you, I'm doing these things, I'm spending money. There is something that I'm gaining from this relationship, right? So the context really comes down to, is that a selfish thing? And it's no. You know, as a dating coach, not a dating coach, let me repeat that back. As a love coach and a sex coach, I do think that it's important to get to a place where you're dating people for the right things, right? But a part of getting to know people is, when you get to this more serious level, really, is getting to know their 5 languages and how they need to be loved, right? So not everybody wants, you know, tit for tat, but it may show up in different ways. Including in marriages. You know, we don't talk about transactional sex enough when it comes down to being married, because in that case it's quote acceptable. I think that really comes down to how people are connecting in their marriages, right? And so you're paying bills, you're doing things. I'm doing this where it's more in a respectful way, where I'm doing this to make time so that we can have time later. I'm giving you things. I'm giving you time off, or time mentally or emotionally, so you can connect with me mentally, emotionally. Or lay down and rest. Let me take care of you, because that is my love language, right? If I take care of you, it makes me feel loved, and it makes me feel appreciated that you're taken care of. So is this bad? Is it a bad ideology to pick up to me as a sexologist? No. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing to have that trade-off and having these great conversations, right? So that's number 1. So why are we drawn to this? Like, let's talk about this type of conversation. Let's pivot from why it really happens and how it shows up in sexual relationships with singles and marriages, and really kind of talk about why we're drawn to it, really. So number 1, right? We're in an influential era, right? So a lot of people are dating coaches, and a lot of people are trying to teach people. You're in the area of soft life, and you're in the area of get to the bag and get to the money. We're in that culture where we reinforce this dynamic heavy, which is why the conversation always comes up when it talks about transactional connections, right? Those currency to sex type of conversations, right? They're coming from the culture. So being in rooms and these type of topics coming up is really nothing new. Currency for intimacy has been around for a very, very long time. So it's not new, but I do think that it's being influenced and being pushed socially, because social media plays a big part in that, as well as just cultural connection to what this means. And I already explained to you about those social conditions. I have homegirls who really like go into there's so much in their bag that men know, like, I gotta be on my top 2s to even approach her, right? So that comes down to the social conditioning, right, around the influence, right? So now we're, pretty much raised with the idea that love and sex are transactional, which is why there's so much transactional sex being happening in your singleness. Back then, you wanted to be married and you wanted to all these things. You could get the house and the man and the children. But now it's more like, we get into the bed. I'm trying to live my soft life. I want to live. I want to have a good time. And I'm the prize. Praise me. Men, feel that they have to earn intimacy. He even spoke on the podcast about incels, which are men, and he said that towards the end. And I love that he hit on it, because he was saying, we really ain't out here trying to want to spend money and do the things that we do. Clock that T. It is a mating ritual to spend time and money and status and all these benefits of transactional connections. I mean, so it's out there. We ain't gonna sugarcoat it. We ain't gonna make it seem like it's not out there. Why we drawn to it? It's a part right now of really connection survival. It's a part of, really getting out here and trying to secure these relationships. Okay, so first, is it useful? Well, yes. there is a power awareness that comes with this. You know, knowing what you bring to the table. I bring in emotional labor. I bring in beauty. I bring in resources. I'm a baddie. Yes. Let's negotiate these terms. That is a power awareness for men and women. Right? So is it useful? Yes. It's how we feel. It goes into how you feel about yourself, right? I ain't no fly by night type of thing, or this ain't no casual thing for me. You know, you got to show me that you can benefit me in a way. Meet with someone. If you don't have anything to trade up, then technically, like, I didn't miss a bullet here. I didn't waste my time. There wasn't a component where I don't feel like I'm not getting something in return. You know, like, I know it sounds bad, y'all, when I say it out loud like that, but y'all know I got to give it to you true and honest. There is that space where I'm dealing with people who have just as much as lose as I do. I'm in a harm reduction type of relationship. Something got given in this. I'm flying around. I'm spending money. I'm doing all of this, but in reality, there is that reduction that, like, I'm probably gonna get the booty, and this is the type of girl that I like to deal with. So it's more of a strategy game, really, when you think of it like that. It can be used as a strategy game as well. I think it comes down to that mutual agreement, right? So there is a consensual understanding that this empowerment is bringing some type of fulfillment. This empowerment to you, your power exchange, comes with some type of fulfillment for me. And I think that's where that mutual understanding and that safety connect comes from, because I'm not just doing this for free. And it kind of takes away that middle ugly ground in sex where we just kind of hanging out. We don't really know what we want to do and no one's really speaking on it. And sex happens and it wasn't meant to be. I just feel like in this space, it's more useful in the sexual exchange place so that we understand I did this because I want to be more connected to you. I did this because I want to spend more time with you. I did this because I really want to stay with that cootie like. I thought we was on the same page. I feel like it takes out a lot of that middle flog of the people that are very uncomfortable with being clear in their sexual communication. I really do believe that. And sexual communication is tea, okay? Definitely clock that. Now, is it harmful as much as it is helpful? Well, yes. I think that's a double-edged sword to sex in any context, right? In sex, right? If you turn in your marriage, you feel like the only way I can have sex with my partner is to do something for them, then you're lessening the value of the bargaining chip. I said it. I'm sorry. Yeah, what I love it. You are not gonna never give it to me freely. I always have to work and strive for this. And then people start. This is where the context of transactional sex becomes blurred quickly, right? You're really killing the emotional and the mental connection if you treat it as a physical transaction 24/7. Right? You reduce the value of your bargain. Because some people will be like, you know what, if I got to do this every time, I got to fly you out every time, I got to spend a bag, I got to do all of these things every time just to get connected with you. Do you even love me for me? You know what I'm saying? And that's where it becomes like, okay, if you've grown up on this habit, if you've done this thing for a long time, and it's really like messing up your relationships, you may want to look at, how you're using your bargaining chip. I said, can it be powerful so that you know your awareness, you know your beauty and your resources so you can negotiate, right? I didn't say use it so much that it doesn't allow you to love freely. You know what I'm saying? So not free, but freely, free flowing, giving and open. You can really hurt your emotional connection in this space. Another thing is that entitlement mindset. So that power play, that mutual agreement, that constant whoop in, because every time you shoot your shot, the shot goes in, because the more value you have, the more yeses you get, right? So that emotional mindset, I did this, so I deserve that. That's entitlement. That can breed a lot of resentment, and it also can be very manipulative. And so you definitely need to gut check that. And I think this is where a lot of women have issues, and men have issues in this space. I just really kind of tugged on it a little bit, but we definitely got to hit on it. Like, just because you did this for me does not mean that I have to give you my body. You know, just because you did this for me don't mean I have to give you my time, right? But that hurts when the safety mechanism or that power exchange has been working. It's been shooting them 70% shots, and then it don't work with this particular person. Now you looking crazy because you've been using this one way of getting gain, that is getting booty through doing for people or spending money or doing things that are of value. Then you ain't got no other chips in your bag because that's the only one that you know how to use. That there, you owe me. I gave you this. Well, how do I owe you? I don't owe you a damn thing. You gave it willingly, right? So I think that's where that mutual understanding and all these things kind of blur. And you don't want to do that. If you find yourself in this predicament or find yourself dealing with someone who has entitlement issues, they may lack boundaries. Yeah, I said it. They may lack having boundaries because of the social and the mental and the financial status that they carry, right? So they not used to know, right? I just told you how it can be helpful. So some people can build up their whole game, women and men, based off of what you do for them. But when it don't go through, when the shot hit the rim and bounce off, they may not really know how to react to that. And it may then bring out this entitled manipulator. And you definitely need to be aware of this in your sexual connections. Drop that T. In the marital space, you want your emotion, mental, and physical connection to be real, right? And so this is where I think it comes down to how it can harm more couple, because more sex and currency. And you have to break free of that to be sexually free in your now relationship. So you should want to give, and it's a little bit of give and take, right? You giving and you're taking, but sometimes your giving has to be over the amount of the things that you take in. And I think this is the space where it can be more of a burnout in relationships, because we use sex as a weapon, and you don't ever want to weaponize that sexual connection with your partner. You don't want to weaponize your connection. You don't want to weaponize how they can feel about you and connect to you. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely have to be careful about when you've used this for so long. Now you in a relationship and he feels like he's a money bag, or he feels like he has to constantly glorify you and give you and give you and give you in order for you to feel good about yourself. You may need to seek some form of sex therapy and figure out what's the connection with money and sex with you, you know, and what form of it is it giving you? What type of validation? I love this type of conversation. I believe the entitled versus reciprocation definitely needs to be what we at the top. I feel like there needs to be rules to like good sexual conduct, right? We need to draw that. Maybe that's a book that I need to write. I don't know. Clock that. See, hey, let it cook. What's up, y'all? I just want to say today has been great. I have really enjoyed breaking down this podcast, and we will do more like this. And we will also be bringing the podcast back. So look for my information in the show notes. If you don't know who I am your certified sexologist located in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm your girl, Miss Nita Love, and welcome to Nuggets with Nita. Peace out.